Yeah. Hi, good evening. How are we doing today?
Doing good.
Okay, I was just giving everybody a few minutes to join. I guess we can start now because it's being recorded. I know, I noticed that, you know, we normally don't start till about 6:10, 6:15. I know it's pretty difficult to, you know, rush home from work and get settled in. Would 6:30 be a better time for everybody? Yes, no, maybe so?
Um,
Or y'all want to stick with the 6?
I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay,
It don't matter to me.
If I run in late, I usually just sign in on my phone until I get home.
okay. But I just want to make sure enough of you are here, because what is happening is a lot of persons don't want to go and listen to the recording for 10 or 15 minutes. So I constantly repeat myself. So, you know, if you miss something, talk to your classmate or please listen to the recording. Okay, and so I wanted, you know, I want to wait to talk about the homework because I'm a little disappointed about the homework. I don't know if persons realize that this was the easiest possible 100% that you could get. And this is 20% of your grade. And this will help you make up your midterm grades, you know, to balance it off if you don't do so well in your midterm. It was open book, multiple choice, and I only got like four pieces of homework. So I'm wondering what happened. And then 1 or 2 persons sent me homework today, and last night was the deadline. So can somebody give me some feedback on what's happening with the homework?
You got mine, Miss Fuller?
Sorry?
You got mine? Just
Yeah.
Leniency.
Yes, Lenique, I got yours.
Ms. Bullet, I sent in mine, but like I said, I wasn't able to open the document, so I like type it in the email.
Okay, yeah, and that was fine.
Okay.
That was fine. But like I say, quite a number of persons just didn't do it or sent it in late. And Ms. Bullet does not accept late homework. So I'm, you know, like I said, that was the easiest 100% you could have gotten.
Okay.
Sorry?
Ms. Bullet, my apologies. I really thought that homework was to hand in today. I don't know how I missed the Tuesday. I know the essay is due on Tuesday, but I wasn't aware that the homework was due. I don't know, I missed that.
But yeah, because in the subject, I have homework due Tuesday. I have that in the subject line.
And I finished that homework from Sunday and I still have it. I just was thinking, I'm so accustomed to my other classes that I send it on the day of.
Okay, so please be mindful of your homework. They are only given, there's 2 homeworks. It's only given to help subsidize. So one is subsidizing your midterm grade, and the next is to pull up your final grade. So please, like I say, it's very easy to get 100%. Don't take those homeworks lightly, okay? And as for the presentation next week, if you do not send in the presentation or do not present, you get an incomplete. There's no way to pass the class. So you get an incomplete for the presentation and you get an incomplete for the mentoring.
A question to
Yes.
the presentation and the mentoring. The presentation and the mentoring, that's due next week.
No, it's not. Let me pull up the agenda so we're all on the same page.
No, the reason I asked it is because you said if we didn't do the presentation next week, we automatically can't pass the class.
The presentation is for the speech, right?
Yeah, that's the
And then there's
assignment we
another,
had on the essay.
right? And so then there's another presentation on November the 30th for the mentoring. So it's
for the mentoring. Okay.
Right.
And you're saying if we don't do all 2 of them, there's no way for us to be able to pass.
Pass the class, right? You get an incomplete.
Okay, understandable.
Right, and then when we hold the class again, you will be invited to present. Okay.
So we submitting, and then the following class we presenting.
Yes, sir. Okay, so we're looking at the screen and we're looking at the agenda. And again, like I said, the agenda is not written in stone. It's not hard and fast, but we have to be proactive, not reactive. If we need to change something, we have to do it before, not after. Okay, so
That's fine.
please, if you foresee any reason why you may not be able to present October 12th, please send me an email before the 11th. Okay? The same thing with on November the 30th, if you foresee any reason why you may not be able to present on November the 30th, then you send me an email by the 23rd, hopefully, and let me know. And we will reschedule you for a later date. Okay, remember now we are supervisors. And today we are going to talk about the tone from the top. Okay, what? Chapter 3 talks about planning and scheduling and leading by example. Chapter 12, and also setting goals. Chapter 12 then talks about performance appraisals. Okay, so that's why we put those two chapters together. Okay, and so we want to ensure that the tone from the top, we honor our commitments. And if we're unable to honor our commitments, then we plan and we discuss in advance so that nobody is inconvenienced, the rest of the team doesn't suffer, and nobody feels like it's an unfair environment. Okay. Any questions about the agenda whilst we have it up? Everybody know what needs to be done next class, Wednesday, October the 12th? Yes, no, maybe so?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all
Yes, ma'am.
sound so sad, like, yes, mom. Like,
You
I
need to
started
submit
over y'all
that.
with a bell. What happening with y'all this week? I started over you with a bell. Say, Robert.
No,
Speak,
man.
Miss Fuller.
In all honesty, my week been rough. Actually, the past 2 weeks been rough with work and trying to balance work, school, everything. It's just getting it. Yeah, it's very need to
It's
adapt.
very tough, Robert. It's very, very tough. And I'm not even going to downplay it. It's hard, and anything that's worth having it requires a lot. So let Ms. Bullet make a little suggestion. We have a big holiday Monday. Y'all please don't go regattaing. Okay? You party on Friday, you rest on Saturday, you party on Sunday, you rest on Monday. Get some of your schoolwork in, so you can catch yourself. Okay, but you can't party from Friday straight through. You have to have 2 down days, and on one of those down days, then you do your homework. Okay, but I understand relaxation is very important. I don't want anybody to be burnt out, so ensure you plan it properly so you're not overwhelmed on Tuesday morning and your homework you didn't do, and you're fighting Tuesday night to send Miss Bullet homework, and then you gotta present next week. And remember now, next week, we want you to put on your full face and all your hair and your Sunday best, because you have to turn on your camera whilst you make this speech, okay? And so 2 persons are going to, one person is going to give you a critique and one is going to give you feedback, okay? Based on your speech. And then Ms. Bullet will send you a grade the following week. Okay, are we all clear on what needs to happen next week?
Ms. Bullet, are we just reading what we submitted, or we need to do like a presentation to, like a PowerPoint presentation to the?
No PowerPoint needed, but just reading off. If you could be as creative as you want, but
Okay.
it's not needed. You can just read, your research based on your topic. Like, what's your topic again? Let's look. Let me pull that up.
I think it's how you look affecting, I think it's like your grooming and stuff. It affects your attitude at work, something like that. I think.
Okay, and let's make sure everybody has their question. Okay, from the speech, it says high energy,
Yeah, I'm
good-looking
number
people
9.
with good hygiene, And a positive attitude makes more
Make
money.
more money.
And
Right.
so you have to research that and tell us, is that true? And if it is true, then why they make more money? Because they are high energy, because they're good looking, because they have good hygiene or a positive attitude. Okay? And that's why we want y'all to look your best next week, just in case this is true. Okay? Because these high energy, good looking people might get a better grade. Yes? No, maybe so?
I guess so.
You guessing. Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
guess so.
Lanique will tell us
Because
next week.
you could look good, but your camera quality could look bad. So
Well,
how you
please,
could how you could
this
how
is
you could
next week.
differentiate?
Now listen, y'all are supervisors. And so I want y'all to pretend that you are in front of your executive team making a presentation. Okay? And so I want you to check with Miguel to make sure you do your camera and that your mic works. Please don't come next week and say, oh, I have technical difficulties, my camera or my mic ain't working. You get some points off, okay? If somebody presented and didn't have their glasses, and so we were in person and they kept saying, oh, Miss Bullet, I can't read this. I don't have my glasses. And so she tried to stand there and read. She lost a lot of points. Because normally when we in person, you know, the class would grade you based on your speech. Okay, and once the grades are fair, then that's a grade you stay with. If the grades are not fair, then we don't stay. We had one class that gave everybody 90%, and then another class that gave everybody 30 and 40%. So, you know, that's why we moved away from the class grading. Because if the people don't like you, you fail. Okay? So just to make it neutral, we're gonna get the critique and we are going to get the feedback. So everybody be please prepare to participate and try your best to be on time. Okay? So I know one of my readers for this week was Candace. And she said that she would be running late. She planned ahead and she sent me an email and excused herself. So she's gonna do chapter 12 for us. Who is my next reader? Is it Sydney? Sydney, is it you?
No, I was supposed to be reading.
Oh, it's Lanique. Okay. Okay, so Lanique, has anybody looked at chapter 3? Do we need to just jump right in to planning and productivity, or can we have a discussion first about goals? Anybody had the opportunity to read?
I read.
Okay.
What I
Anybody?
mean,
What was your takeaway from what you read?
well, my takeaway first was I noticed that they were talking about a productivity equation, and for the life of me, I don't think that's really applicable. I don't know if you could really apply it to everything, because I couldn't apply it to my own life. So I don't know.
Okay. So back in, you know, in the early centuries, there were lots of philosophers and they created like different types of models that people follow. It's not 100%, but in some cases you may apply it, not in all. And I think they just said labor plus capital plus materials equals what? Productivity?
Productivity, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I guess they would have tested this, and this would have been the closest calculation possible to be able to explain what productivity is.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So it, like I say, it may not work in all cases. Okay. What did you think about the goal setting?
The goal setting, I thought the goal setting part of it was pretty good. I know our work just recently changed the framework for our performance appraisal, and they wanted us to be more intentional about setting our goals. So we actually write, well, they give us goals that come down from higher up, according to what they expect of us, and then we have to write like specific goals. So I thought that part was really helpful in helping me to understand like how the goals flow down the chain, like how it comes from top management goals and the manager's goals and the supervisors and then the employee, and then the like line staff, and how they all, I guess, tie into one. Because initially when we first did performance appraisals, it was, I mean, they never really did care about no goals. We did that. So it's good to see that we actually I guess evolving to that, to setting, because
Okay.
we use the model SMART goals.
Okay, very, very good. That was gonna be my question, if the
Yeah.
SMART goals have been rolled out. Again, and SMART is just an acronym, and some people switch it up, so you can tell me, add the S is for specific, then measurable,
A is
attainable,
attainable,
that timely,
And relevant,
relevant, I think,
relevant, and then
Relevant.
timely.
and time bound.
time
Yeah.
bound, timely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically, everybody's using the same acronym. And what is important is what we learned in chapter 1. Like you said, you saw how it came from the executive team and it trickled down. So that's very important, that if you are going to write a goal for yourself, what am I going to do whilst I'm an employee at Commonwealth Bank? It's very important that you have the foundation. These are Commonwealth Bank's goals. Okay. This is what their vision statement states. This is what their motto is. These are their values, right? Because a very common problem is we have these organizations and everybody showing up with their own agenda. Like just pull it in code rather than the Commonwealth Bank. Okay. And so therefore you are to see what the company's strategic goals are, see which direction they are headed in, and then decide if you want to help them fulfill these goals. Okay. And so that's your foundation. Once you get those goals, like you said, they rolled out goals that are SMART and attainable and timely. However, they rolled that out to the staff. The organization has not seemed to have caught up with that yet. And we've talked about it already, where they are setting unrealistic targets.
Yep.
Very big problem across the financial services sector. People are compromising themselves to try and attain a target that's not attainable. Right? And so,
Very true.
yeah, so this is what we, remember now, the fish rots from the head. So if the top are still out of order, what happened to the tail, right? And so organizations and executives need to be trained on how to say, set SMART goals if they expect employees then to set, these SMART goals. Okay, so there's a gap, and who is going to identify that gap? We either have to speak up. Most of you seem to be comfortable to speak up anonymously, or when we get to the executive level position, we have to try and make these changes ourselves. Okay, and find out. And right now is a good time, especially if you work in the accounts department, to start to do the leg work to find out, where does the forecast come from? Where does the budget come from? How does it work? What drives it? Where do you get the information from on the economy? And all of this is the methodology. Okay? Find out the methodology behind these unrealistic targets, so that you are able to then debate it or speak knowledgeably to it. Okay? And so when you get to the executive level, then you in yourself will know, this is the methodology, this is where I get the information from, and this is how I come up with a realistic, achievable SMART goals for my employee or for all my employees. Okay, so the book starts off to talk about planning. Okay, so we will start, Lanique, with any feedback from Sydney or Robert in terms of goals, what feedback does your institution have the SMART goals? Is Sydney or Robert there?
That's we have goals set like in terms of the beginning of the year, we set goals based on what the expectation is for each member. We do have goals.
So are we checking the box or these goals make sense?
Well, every position has their own particular goal. So I'm not sure exactly, but the SMART goal, but we have goals based on our position. So our goals are structured along the lines of, I guess, in terms of making the bank and the customers better off. So always giving the customer an option for a new product. So we always try to sell, and we have a goal to refer or to actually meet a particular amount of sales weekly.
Okay, but are these goals realistic?
Uh it's realistic. It's a far stretch, but it's realistic to an extent.
Okay.
It's realistic. That's all.
Okay, that's good, because for a very long time, like I said, the institution that we used to laugh when, in every January when they came out, we said, well, this is the plan, this is what we forecast, and this is what we expect. We used to laugh because it just made no sense,
Yeah.
but I'm glad that, organizations are getting to the point where it's sense, at least making sense. So that's good. Is anybody following up? Is this something that we do in January, Sydney, and then in December when it's bonus time? Or are we managing? Because a lot of us are supervisors and we don't have time to manage. We have
It's a
time to work.
Well, it's a quarterly review. So every a quarterly review would be half of the a quarter of the year.
Every
So
quarter,
after every 3 months.
okay, so that's excellent. That's
Yeah, so
excellent.
mhm.
Yeah, a lot of organizations are doing January. You write these goals by January 31st. You throw them in one drawer. Your supervisor say, oh yeah, everybody put in their goals, and then we don't look at them until December. So
And then,
nobody is saying at June that, Miss Bullitt, you're supposed to make $1,000 in sale and you only make $50, right?
Yeah,
What is our
right.
plan? So you having those quality quarterly reviews. We're
Yes.
coming up with a plan. You're getting assistance. You're perhaps decreasing the goal because the pandemic happened. Stuff like that is happening in those reviews, or are we just checking the box to say we do a review?
Well,
No.
what we also have in place, we have we have something called coaching. So every month, a coaching supposed to be done for each individual by their manager or supervisor at the time. So the coach would then let you know where your shortfall was that month and what you need to do to bring it up, and how can they assist you with bringing it up as well. So it's a monthly coaching that goes towards your quarterly review, or I assist you every month with your quarterly review.
Okay, that's excellent. So somebody's on the ball and making sure that you win at the end of the year.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. And it's effective.
Yes, it reflects this. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, good. What about you, Lanique? It sound familiar? You doing the same thing?
Miss Bullitt, we don't have no time to do all that.
See,
I mean,
and that's it.
we are expected to do that. Fanique, you could chime in, but
You hear me? I say I laughing.
yeah, they have to run us down. Like HR sends the notifications for us to do a mid-year check-in and this and that. But the reality is that who you start off in January most likely ain't gonna be there by June. So you have to so you're busy trying to just stay afloat because it's just
I agree.
people leaving.
It's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be structured like what Sydney said, but it's not. Like right now at our branch, we are just now doing check-ins.
Us too.
And like PAs be like in December.
Yeah.
It's being
and
like
it's
December.
October.
We were supposed to do that check-in from June, but you couldn't do it in June because it was a June. Anyway, that was due for a little while. I wouldn't lie, but
Yeah. So
the branches are very struck. Like, what should I say? We're very short.
yeah,
So we can't.
Okay.
We
that's
don't have
that's
time
the
to do
word.
that stuff.
That's the word.
You don't have
Sure.
time to do that.
Okay, but are we as new supervisors making a difference? Are we promoted because we have some solutions? Because first of all, when I get a new staff, I let them know that I'm making an investment, right? And I don't hire you. 90% of the time I hire somebody is because I know they can make it past probation. It's very, very, very slim chance. It's that 10% chance, because we don't live in perfect, that this person is not going to stay past the 3 or 6 month mark, however long their probation is. And so I ensure that I hire a quality person to make sure I get a return on my quality investment. Because,
Can I piggyback on that?
go ahead, Robert.
Well, I mean, in terms of the person, I feel like everyone, all industries, everyone is taught differently. So I feel as if it may be the way certain person teaches the their the person they're hiring may not benefit them. So for demonstration, when I actually first came into Scotiabank, the person that would have taught me, he taught me very, I would say, to the best of his ability, and to me that was very excellent. Now, if I was to go to an additional branch, I may have not been here today, because the way I was taught there, I could guarantee I wouldn't have been taught to the different branch, to another branch. So I think it also depends on the person you are being taught by as well.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Because, I worked at Royal Bank for 16 years. Like I said, I say I was on the top of the mountain at some point, and I was in the valley at some point. When you are in Rome, you do what the Romans do. And so you have to know where you are placed, and the culture. And then to me, you follow suit. So luckily, just like you, when I first joined Royal Bank, I had excellent mentors and excellent managers. 2 years, I thought I was in the Gaza Strip, right? And that lasted for 5. So here I am in year 7, ready to say, if something don't happen there, that this being the job for me. And then I went back on top of the mountain. So over the course of 20 years, you got highs and lows. Hopefully you start off with a high, and so you know what is right. But if you start off with a low, then and in the interview process, that's why when they ask you if you have any questions, you try your best to find out as much as possible. And in the first month when you get in, I just don't like to waste time. I'm ready to leave if this ain't making no sense. Okay, so if you have 5 people leaving because this ain't making no sense, then you need to check yourself, or you need to check this institution because this makes no sense. You will never be able to accomplish your goal if you have a high turnover. Okay, so your mindset should be, how do I retain these people so that I can achieve my goals? Because it sounds like some of us just going to the formality. You say write 5 goals, yes, say that's the 5 goals. We didn't have time for that because we short staffed. And then in October, just before the end of the year, again, formality. We can check the box and go through it. So we are not managing, and we will not be successful. And I don't know what motivates you, but in these banks, you work very, very hard. I work in very hard to be able to negotiate my pay and get the most bonus at the end of the year. I showing up every day to pay. Okay, and just like with my staff, I explained to them that the interview progress was so tedious because I wanted to make sure, I test to make sure that you are a good fit and that you want to do this long term. And even if you don't, I understand, and That's why I asked for feedback, because I need this to work. Because I need to be successful too at the end of this. And I can't without the team. You see? So yeah, Lenique, you gotta fix the high turnover.
Uh,
And
me?
you don't, I mean, I'm just saying you gotta make a
How?
suggestion. Use the
Yeah,
supervisor.
how?
Miss
Supervisor.
Bullet, Miss
How?
Bullet, trust me. The only thing, the conversation, the theme of every conversation in the branch, and Vanique is in a different branch than me, is resignation, is how to get out of there. It's like ain't nobody would stay, ain't nobody. So who am I to say,
So y'all have to change the culture. And like I always say, corporate
Which bank is
Bahamas,
this?
it wasn't
corporate
always
Bahamas
like
is
that.
very vicious.
Culture,
wasn't-
some
We are corporate
cultures are
Bahamas.
very hard to
It
change.
wasn't always like that. Like I've been there for 9 years now. When
Which
I
bank is
first
this? This
came,
Fresh Caribbean?
no, come on, bye. When I
Commonwealth?
first
Oh,
came,
okay.
it wasn't like that. Like the turnover, it was few and far apart that you saw an email that says so and so departing the company. Now is every week,
Every other day,
every day, sometime.
literally.
Okay,
Wow.
but that's a poor reflection on HR.
Mhm.
And because again, HR should be left, right, and center, asking for advice and feedback and finding out what's wrong. Because
Yeah.
there's no way for Commonwealth Bank to be successful at year end, which is 3 months away.
So
And even
that's
if
the
they say,
problem.
okay, we rebound from the pandemic, no, you could have made $10,000 more, but you didn't
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
of
I don't know. I feel like
efficiencies.
I don't know. I thinking in my head if maybe they downsizing or something because
No people leaving, Vinny. They ain't letting go people.
yeah, but if you people leaving but ain't nobody coming, like
Exactly.
you
It,
So
it
we
may it may
dying.
be all
juggling
salary scale.
We
two
dying.
desks and stuff.
Well, our
Like
salary scale is low.
Yeah, that's what it may be because now you get persons, you know what it is to deal with customers every day who making a lot of money all day. You managing funds, you managing these accounts, you seeing these customers become successful every day, and you just making the bare minimum, and they looking up in your face every day, and you're making no money.
Exactly, Robert.
So that's the biggest issue. I feel like it's actually the pay grade. If I was to lose my job at Scotia today or tomorrow, I ain't trying to get paid significantly less than I'm making now. So I feel like that may be the issue, the pay grade.
That I think that plays a part, but what happened is, like what Vanique say, people leaving for whatever reason. Some people are getting, being fired and stuff like that, but most people are leaving and they're not hiring nobody else. So people like us who still there or who been there, we now have to like so many new staff and like or people who inexperienced going in these positions, and it's like your brand strap. Like right now, I couldn't even finish I had to take a break in my cross training in one department because I'm now filling in for somebody else who in a completely different department. I think Vanique filling in the way as VO.
yeah, I filling in as VO.
Right, like
So
and
Okay.
because she
It's
and I
not.
could do two different positions, we get tossed around all over the place.
Okay, well, see, these are conversations that need to be had because y'all are Commonwealth Bank. Okay, we are corporate Bahamas, and so there are many issues. And like I said, we don't live in perfect, and we're not gonna solve all of them. But you ain't even in Vanique ain't even. And even if y'all are, whilst y'all there, some structure needs to be put in place. Okay, some solutions, and this is why we promoting you. Because we saying that you have good ideas, you are innovative. How do we fix some of these issues that we have? Okay, so you have to start to have the conversations. Okay, and then let's look back to chapter 1, political competence. A supervisor's ability to enhance his or her power, build a power base, and establish the right connections in the organizations. Okay, remember I told you all the story about the salary. Somebody say you 29, so I give you 29,000. Not looking at the scale. One other person talking, but when I was a manager 30 years ago, I didn't make that amount of money. Okay, find the knowledge source, find the historian, find the people with sense who looking for you all, and start to create a network of, we could, you know, be able to show up to work and have some level of comfort, some solutions, some way. We having a problem with retention of staff. Let's find out the root of the problem. Another problem I see you having, the need is you don't have time to manage. And so your staff just running haywire.
Exactly.
Okay,
And
so
I'm on that.
you have to have, you have to make time to manage, or then you become not effective. Okay, so we need, let's look at planning. Let's go, let's read on planning and let's see if we can get some ideas how to make this make sense. And I know your situation is not unique. A lot of banks operating like this, and this is why we need educated persons who are properly trained to sit in these positions so they know what to do. Okay, and I had an experience a couple of years ago with social service where there was this lady, she had cancer, she had 3 little kids, and she had lost her home. And so we were trying to, you know, through the church, help her to at least, you know, be stabilized and then get some care for the children. Now, she really didn't want them to be placed in the Rampoli home, but we couldn't find like a family member who would start the care for them. She was really ailing, like on our like 4th stage cancer, needed this help. And we approached our social service, and we talked to the officer, and the officer said, "Oh, ain't nothing we could do." I said, "Miss, the woman have 4th stage cancer and 3 little children under 10. Like, there has to be something that could be done." "Oh no, mommy, you know, she gonna have to wait, go on the list." I said, "She may be dead. She can't go on the list." You know, they turned me away. I asked to see the manager. Manager said the same thing. Turn me away, whatever. Whilst I was sitting there waiting, another lady said, "Miss, this is the only person who could help you. Miss so-and-so, and she on JFK. You mind going down to JFK?" I said, "Yeah." I went down to JFK. I met this lady. I said, "Miss, I on my last leg. This woman really need help, and these children need to be placed before she pass away, you know, and she really needs some help with housing." And you would not believe, before I left that social service office, that woman had been placed. They had sent a nurse and a babysitter so the kids could spend their, you know, the last days with her. And that person then also arranged that with a family member. She said, "You know, you could get up to $500 a child, and we don't want to separate these children. Are you going to take these children?" And that person agreed, and she arranged the payment and everything. And that lady died like 3 months later. At least she was satisfied that her children was, you know, cared for, and she got help. And I went back with a floral arrangement for the lady, and I said, "I just want to thank you because, you know, I was turned around so many times." And I said, it's just a difference. And she said, "You know, I've been here 20 years, and a lot of us just didn't know how to deal with families and social problems." And she said, there was an opportunity to go off and get training. And I took that opportunity. She said, "I don't have my degree, but I got that training and that changed my life. And so I know the importance of when people are sick and when they need help and how to act fast." And it was just a complete difference. Okay. And so I say that to this, there is a knowledge person in your institution. There is somebody with some sense There is somebody who know the difference and will make a difference. You have to find that person. Okay? Hey, Candace, welcome. We ain't start reading yet. Miss Bullet and all our stories. We still on stories. We talking about goal setting. And we want to ensure that we ain't just checking the box, that we are effective. Okay? I don't know if y'all remember Enron, where Martha Stewart went to jail. After the whole company collapsed, billion-dollar company collapsed, Martha Stewart goes to jail. They did an internal review of the entire company. And one of the things that they came up with was that the mission, the goals, and the motto was all baseless statements that nobody knew, that nobody, they say they want to blow away the customer. They definitely wasn't doing that. They had all these values. They had unrealistic goals set, unachievable, unattainable. They weren't timely, okay? And so all of that came up in the court case, and that caused Martha Stewart to go to jail, okay? And we all work in financial institutions where we are bound by anti-money laundering and compliance laws, okay? If we are just writing these baseless statements and there's a structure in place where I can manage, you could go to jail. Okay, that's how serious it is, because it's been going on for too long. Okay, so soon, I also teach the compliance class, and soon they are, auditors are gonna start checking these mottos, these goals, to make sure that these targets are realistic. Okay, and to ensure that they are being managed. And when you are questioned as to what happened, you can't say we short staff, I didn't have time to do it. You took on the position to supervise, but you didn't have time to supervise. Use the manager, but you don't have time to manage. Okay? Gone are the days when we can take these things lightly. Okay? I always say we can eliminate risk. We can't eliminate risk. We can mitigate it, which means put controls in place to protect ourselves against risk, but we are not smart as the hackers and scammers. Lanique, you know this, you heard this 10 times already, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When they infiltrate your business, what will you say?
When who infiltrate the business?
The hackers and scammers. You can't say we were short staff.
And I can't say I don't know neither.
There you go. You're good. We can bring you sweet milk and cigarettes, Lanique. Okay? Because you're a good student. Anyway, let's read. Ms. Validian have no more stories. Yeah, but honestly, y'all take it seriously, okay? Y'all take it seriously because you could go to jail now. And it used to just be compliance could go to jail. All departments could go to jail. The receptionist could go to jail. Okay, so please understand the risk associated with the position that you hold. Make sure that you have a job description. Make sure that you have SMART goals. Make sure that those goals are being managed and that you achieve them by the end of the year, or you carry them over to the next year. Okay, gone are the days when we can just do the formalities. Okay, okay, good. Okay, Lanique, let's start reading at the bottom of 58, I think. It'd be 58 for Robert. And let me see.
What's the subtitles I can find it?
Yeah. It talks about what is formal planning.
Okay.
On 63 for you.
63, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What is formal planning? Does planning require that goals, strategies, and plans be written down? Ideally, they should be, but they often aren't. In formal planning, specific goals are formulated, committed to writing, and made available to other organization members. Additionally, specific action programs exist in formal planning to define the path for the achievement of each goal. Many supervisors engage in informal planning. They have plans in their heads, but nothing is written down, and there is little or no sharing of these plans with others. This probably occurs most often in small businesses where the owner or supervisor has a vision of where he or she wants to go and how to get there. In this chapter, when we use the term planning, we refer to the formal variety. Formal planning is most often required for an organization to be productive.
Okay, good. So are we writing down these plans?
Only because we have to for the performance thing. Otherwise, no.
Okay, so it goes on to talk about productivity, and it says that this is, me and Lily questioning this. It says that productivity in the simplest form is it equals output over labor plus capitals plus materials. And that's normally a multiple choice question. So you'll please know that little formula. It says output per labor hour best expressed by the formula productivity equals the output over labor plus capital plus materials. Productivity measures can be applied to the individual, the group, and to the total organization. It says productivity can also be applied at 3 different levels: the individual, the group, and the total organization. Word processing software, fax machines, and emails have made administrative assistants more productive by allowing them to generate more output during their workday. The use of teams have increased the productivity of many work groups, as companies such as Athena Life, Southwest Airlines are more productive organizations overall than rivals such as American Airlines or US Airways, because Southwest cost per available seat mile is 30 to 60% lower than that of the competitors. Okay, and so productivity is important in the United States. It says in recent years, American productivity as calculated by the federal government was stagnant and at sometimes decreasing. As little as 25 years ago, the United States ranked 8th or 9th in the terms of productivity for industrialized nations. Is that an accurate depiction of what is happening in the United States today? By all accounts, it appears that the US productivity is rising. America has once again retained the top spot among industrialized nations. Much of this rise, however, has been attributed to inefficiencies, downsizing, work process engineering efforts of the 1990s. American companies are also increasing productivity by becoming more quality and customer oriented. The industries in which the United States is doing exceptionally well in relation to other industrialized nations are depicted in 3.1. So 3.1 talks about biotechnology. And again, anytime you read a book, you have to find out who's the author, where it was written, and if they're a little bit biased. And I think they are a little bit biased because they are saying that, America is the leader in biotechnology, software development, and computer networks. Now, of course, we know that Taiwan is the largest producer of semiconductors in the world. And China, is, heavy on technology. So do we really think that America is the leader, or would it be one of the leaders? And this book does not mention China at all. What are your thoughts? Clinton, what are your thoughts? What do you think about that? Do you think compared to China, America is the leader?
Well, yeah.
Based on what? China, the largest producer of okay, let's say Asia. I won't say China because Taiwan is now
Well,
independent.
well, if you say Asia now, that's a
Asia
different.
then. Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, well, if you say Asia, yes, Asia is a leader because that
Yeah.
encompasses India, Taiwan, Pakistan,
yes, yes.
and all those other countries.
Yeah, yeah. Ms. Bullet was wrong in saying China. You know, we automatically think all Chinese come from China. Okay, yes.
Chinese, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let me go on to what is the breadth of planning. And I think that is on page
66.
66. Yeah, go on to what is the breadth. And please take note of these again. These are very popular multiple choice questions: strategic, tactical, short term, intermediate, long term. Okay, go ahead.
What is the breadth of planning? The best way to describe planning is to look at it in two parts, strategic and tactical. Strategic planning covers the entire organization. It includes establishing overall goals and positioning the organization's products or services against the competition. Walmart's strategy, for instance, is to build large stores in rural areas, offer an extensive selection of merchandise, provide the lowest prices, and then draw consumers from the many surrounding small towns. Tactical planning covers the specific details on how overall goals are to be achieved. The Walmart store manager in Fayetteville, Arkansas, is engaged in tactical planning when developing a quarterly expense budget or making out weekly employee work schedules. For the most part, strategic planning is done by top-level managers. A supervisor's time is more likely devoted to tactical planning. Both are important for an organization's success, but they are different in that one focuses on the big picture, whereas the other emphasizes the specifics within that big picture.
Okay, and you agreeing with this, Lanique? Is this structure in your organization? Whereas the executive focus on the big picture, you focusing on the specifics?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, good. So there's some structure. There's some.
Yeah. I just think they're not aware of what's happening downstairs. That's all.
Okay. 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 Continue on. How do planning timeframes differ?
How do planning timeframes differ? Planning often occurs in three timeframes: short-term, intermediate term, and long-term. Short-term plans are less than 1 year in length. Intermediate term plans cover from 1 to 5 years, and long-term plans cover a period of more than 5 years. A supervisor's planning horizon tends to emphasize the short term, preparing plans for the next month, week, or day. People in the middle level managerial jobs, such as regional sales directors, typically focus on 1 to 5 year plans. Long-term planning tends to be done by the top executives, such as vice presidents and above.
Okay, and so are you outside of goals? Are you saying, are y'all having huddles? This is our goals for the week. We are going to try to, sell this and do that. Or are you having those types of huddles weekly?
Yes, ma'am. We work on short-term plans.
Okay, and these are documented.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Good. And do we go back to record whether or not, do you have, let's say October just started, and you say, well, this would we expect to achieve this month. At the beginning of November, do you say, well, we dropped the ball and we need to do a little bit work in this area? However, excellent work on, do you give an update to let the team know where they are?
But yes, ma'am, certain things they are updated on weekly because we have to report on it weekly. So certain things they could see it on a weekly basis to see how they're doing. But the goals that we cannot get to because, every week is something different. Like, in the summertime, it's have a lot of vacations.
Because you don't have time scheduled to manage.
Yeah, people is
You
be
have to
out on
put it in place.
vacation and this and that. So you can't really work on certain things due to those constraints.
Okay, so do you have a relief pool?
What is that, ma'am?
Okay, so what we did is
Must
we
be
were
nice.
no, we were in the operations center, and we had 500 persons at one point because we were the hub for Cayman and Barbados back in the day, right before they stole and outsourced everything to the Trinidad and Tobago and Dominican Republic, right? So we were 500, and so there were 5 persons, and I was one of them in the relief pool that I could service 10 of the functions, and I could service Cayman. That's for vacations, absences, pregnancies, what have you. So I went from desk to desk to desk, these 10 desks for like 2 years, and I found that to be very effective because that's how I became the manager, because I knew every desk, or I knew a majority of these desks. So almost everybody in that relief pool became managers. Okay.
I have a
So,
question. Were
Like
you
how they-
compensated for it though?
Thank you, Vanique. Thank you.
yes, there in our policy was relieving in a position that's higher than your level. So for the most part, out of the 10 positions, 5 were on my level and 5 were above my level. And so if I had to go in one of those positions, my salary then was prorated. But again, it's important to have these documented in policy. It's called relieving in a position higher than your level, and you are compensated for it. And one
Well,
person even was getting gas allowance, so I got her gas allowance too, because she had to drive to different branches.
well, that's a good idea for us to bring up. But
Yeah.
right now, we don't call it a relief pool. We just have people, like I'm one of them, who just, when they short in a particular, because I could work, I think it's 4 positions, they just call me and say, hey, you gotta go that way, or hey, you gotta go this way, or hey, you gotta, and that's it.
Right, but who fills your position when you this way and that way?
Nobody, that's why
Okay,
they
and see,
be
that's
upset.
the issue. And so this relief pool needs to now be formalized, because my desk can't be left behind. And so
Mhm.
my desk was already only like 50% of the day, because or somebody was always asking out of 500 persons, and so if my desk fell behind, I was given the option of overtime. And all of this, like I said, was in writing. If I stayed to work after 7, I got $15 for dinner. And so what I did is, at the end of the month, they used to have $400 or $500 in just dinner for me.
Yeah.
Right, you all just get meal allowance if you all stay after a certain hour, and then if I work my lunch hour, I think we got $7 back then, but I'm sure it's increased because of the cost of living. But all of this was in writing. So between overtime, meal allowance, and lunch, I used to have almost $1,000 a month extra.
No overtime.
No,
Okay, it's not
overtime
in
is very
writing.
hard to get approved.
It's no structure. You
that.
have to put the structure in place. You have to
It's very
formalize
hard
the
to get
relief
approved for
pool.
overtime. Especially if you stay back, like, yeah, no, it's a no.
Yeah, but listen to
I mean,
me.
they wouldn't even ask you.
They wouldn't even say,
I
yeah.
mean, they wouldn't even recommend it. They wouldn't even recommend it. You would be there. I don't know.
Let me tell you again. I had one manager, because at senior management, you can't get overtime. And so you only get meal allowance. And so she taught me that. She's like, girl, well, write up your meal allowance. You get $400 or $500. So every month we was writing up our meal allowance. A new manager came in and she said, I'm very embarrassed. You are a manager and you're writing up meal allowance. Are you that desperate for $15? Okay, so it's different strokes for different folks. And I said, no, it shows me that the company offered me a benefit because they are concerned that at 7 p.m., I don't have to go home and cook dinner for myself in order to eat to get back here again for 7 a.m. So it's a benefit that the company has offered me. And again, she tried to make my staff feel like they were doing something wrong. I said, no, it's in writing, it's policy. And this is when companies show you that they care. So don't let people make you feel like you're doing something wrong. It's a benefit.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, but again, get these things in writing, get them formalized, put it into policy. Okay, so when Ms. Bullitt became the policy writer and the compliance officer, you all know I write everything.
I
Where
know.
people was taking advantage for years. I put everything in writing. I start with HR. Okay?
I wish we had someone like you.
Yeah, but you are someone like me, Lanique. This is why you are here. You could be that knowledge person. You can make the difference.
Okay.
And then they can love you. Like I tell you, the people love me and hate me. There ain't gonna be no in between for you either. But that's okay. You can do what is right, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, good. So how are plans and supervisors levels linked? Okay, continue reading.
Okay.
Mhm.
It is important to remember that effective planning is integrated and coordinated throughout the organization. Long-term strategic planning sets the direction for all other planning. Once top management has defined the organization's overall strategy and goals and the general plan for getting there, then in descending order, the other levels of the organization develop plans. Exhibit 3.2 illustrates this linking of plans from the top to the bottom of an organization. The president, vice president, and other senior executives define the organization's overall strategy. Then upper middle managers, such as regional sales directors, formulate their plans. This continues down to the first line supervisors. Ideally, these plans will be coordinated through joint participation. In the case shown in Exhibit 3.2, for instance, the Tuscan Territory Supervisor would participate with other territory supervisors in providing information and ideas to the Arizona District Manager as she formulates plans for her entire district. If planning is properly linked, the successful achievement of all the territory manager's goals should result in the Arizona District Manager achieving her goals. If all the district managers meet their goals, this should lead to the successful attainment of the regional sales manager's goals, and so on up each level in the organization. Continue.
Yes, so do we see the importance? So let's just put and change that to fail. If A fails, then what happens to B?
B fails.
Then what happens to C?
C fails.
What happens to D?
Yeah, they all
No,
fail.
right. And so, of course, we know we would not have an organization then, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
look at the net effect, okay? And it's very important. The book goes on to talk about can continuous improvement programs be a help in planning? And it says an increasing number of organizations are applying quality practices as a way to build a competitive advantage. As we discussed in chapter 1, to the degree that the organization can satisfy customers' need for quality, it can also differentiate itself from the competition and attract and hold a loyal customer. Why do we go to McDonald's versus Wendy's or the KFC at 10 p.m.? Nobody goes to KFC at 10 p.m. because you know they always say the manager special. You're familiar with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you're
Yes.
mad, right? Yeah. So
Mhm.
moreover, constraints, improvement in the quality and reliability of an organization, products and services can be a result in a competitive advantage others cannot steal. Product innovation, for example, offer little opportunity for sustained competitive advantage. Why? Because usually they can be quickly opened by or quickly copied by rivals. Of course, one person opened a 99-cent breakfast, 99-cent breakfast open all over the bars. Okay.
Mhm.
But incremental improvements is something that becomes an integral part of an organization's operations and can develop into a considerable cumulative advantage. In addition to continuous improvement programs, 3 other quality elements can be useful in planning. They are benchmarking, ISO 9000 series, and Six Sigma. Let's briefly look at those 3. Okay, and so benchmarking, again, these are multiple choice questions. you'll probably get on the midterm exam. So it says the search for best practices among competitors or non-competitors that lead to their superior performance. And let's just say we have an account with Commonwealth Bank. Well, Miss Bullet is saying, I ain't coming out the car. So I only go into the ones that have the drive-through at the back. And then when I reach to the drive-through, I dead mad because they always close.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Okay. And I be going crazy and ready to write Silbert Cooper. Silbert Cooper still there?
No, but he just retired.
He just retired.
Yeah, he retiring now.
Oh, because I have him on speed dial. Why is this drive-through close?
Yep.
Or just think about a location where you'll say, the people in there too slow. I get 30 minutes for my lunch hour. I have 1 hour. I need to eat. I can't stand on the line for 1 hour. So I am not going to that branch. Okay. So we build up a reputation, or nobody to that branches can help you. Okay. Like a social service. You have to go way out JFK to get good help. But if you have to go that far, then you go. Okay. So benchmarking is the search for the best practice among competitors or non-competitors that lead to their superior performance. And of course, Ms. Bullet is always saying you need 5 revenue streams. And so one time I got a business plan together, and I got a venture capitalist, and he basically, they did like the dragon's den thing, and they said, well, Ms. Bullet, do you want equity or do you want debt? And I said, well, I prefer equity. I will give you all like 10% of the business or 20% of the business. So that would have been, they would give me a loan and they would apply a interest rate to it. And then I would pay them back loan payments. So I said, so I want equity. I'm willing to give you 10 or 20% of the business, but how would you determine what interest rate you would give me? And they said, well, it's a technology business. And so what you would do is look at custom computers or DC technology and benchmark. You would compare your business to those businesses and then determine, the value on the business. And you can possibly come to us and say, well, DC computers and custom computers have been able to negotiate a 5% rate. And once you can prove that, then, you could get 5%. But if we have to go out and do the research, then we will charge you for that. So that's my example of benchmarking. Compare yourself to the competitors and then request the same benefits. They are getting a reduced rate, and then you request the same benefits. Okay, that's benchmarking. And then it goes on to talk about the ISO 9000 series. And of course, most of you would have heard of this standards organization, international organization for standardization, that reflect a process where independent auditors attest that a company's factory, laboratory, or office has met a quality management standard. And think about it, who would we need to verify their statement? Like, what company would we, could anybody think of a company that would have made a statement and we need confirmation that this is what they're actually doing? Like, this organization would verify that we would have checked, and we can then confirm that the quality of the standards of this organization. What anybody familiar with or could think of any organization that would need to be tested?
Like a fast food place?
Where's that?
Like a fast food place?
Okay, but a particular type of fast food. I mean, it wouldn't be a particular type of food.
I was thinking about like how, I don't know if this is right, but how Burger King said they was selling the burgers with meatless.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we'd have to test it to see if it's actually true.
Right. And then, okay, let's think about Fresh Market. Fresh Market says we sell organic.
Right.
Okay, how, and they saying that we have grass raised cows. How do we, or no pesticides and no, what else they is putting these meat? You all know what I mean?
All kind of things.
All kind of chemicals, right? So
Right.
how do we, and then they charge us $10 for one apple,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So any y'all shop in Solomon's Fresh Market?
No, not really.
No, is it very expensive, right?
Expensive.
Right.
Yes, I
And
saw
so this ISO series organization would confirm for us that this is indeed either vegan or this is indeed organic, and now you could go and pay $10 for it.
Isn't it
Okay.
something like a quality, don't we have like a quality control thing that does that?
Yeah, we do, but I don't know how effective it is. I don't know, but I know like Fresh Market could be sued. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
If they are selling things, you know, and a test is done and it's found that it's not organic. Okay. Okay, so good.
Right.
Okay, so we'll go over to talk about standing plans, a plan that can be used over again by managers faced with reoccurring situations, again with differences or high turnover. There should be some plan, and that plan should be the relief plan, the relief crew plan. Then it talks about policies, broad guidelines for supervisory actions, and then there are procedures. Okay, so policies are what we do and procedures are how we do it. Okay, so a standardized way of responding to repetitive problems, a definition of the limits within which supervisors must stay or decisions are made. And again, policies stem from, we are all financial institutions, there are regulators, and so the regulators, there's Bahamian law, the regulators then create a guideline that we should follow, and from that guideline then we create internal policies and procedures. A lot of times there are gaps in what the regulator says and what we are doing, so it is important for you to know who your regulator is and be able to read their policies and to see if there are any gaps, you know, because you could go to jail and you could be fined, the organization could be shut down. So you want to make sure that those policies are sound. For the international banks like the Scotias, the Royals, the CIBCs, their head office is in Canada. A lot of those policies have been trickled down from Canada, and sometimes they're not localized. In fact, RBC has a Canadian law right now in place where they're saying joint with right of survivorship, meaning if you add a second person to your account, the account is, whoever survives is entitled to what's on that account. And there was just a ruling in the court that stated that that's not Bahamian law, that's Canadian law, and RBC does not have the right to enforce that on its customers. But they still doing it, and they ain't changed the law yet. They ain't changed that policy internally. Okay, so you want to make sure that one, it's in Bahamian law, your policy is a copy of what the regulator says, and then your procedure is how you do it. Okay, all policies need to have a review date. They need to be updated if laws change. Somebody needs to be aware that the law has changed, and they need to ensure that that is discussed and changes are made. Okay, your policy can be more stringent than that of the regulator, but it can be less. For example, if the regulator says you have to get one form of identification, Royal Bank says you have to get two, because they've put in some conditions for human error. Okay, the regulator also says you have, if you're a bank, you have to keep records for 5 years. You can't say we only keeping the records for 4. You could say we keeping it for 7.
Just keep it for 7.
Okay, right. So it can be more stringent than the regulator, but it can't be less stringent than the regulator. Okay, let's go on to goal setting. And this is a good read. So we can read this whole page on goal setting. Let me see what page it on for you. 76, let me.
Okay, goal setting. Many supervisors are helping their employees set performance goals in an effort to achieve departmental and organizational goals. One means of doing this is through a process called goal setting, which is the next generation of the management practice called management by objectives. In this system, employees jointly determine specific performance goals with their supervisors. Progress towards goals is periodically reviewed and rewards are allocated on the basis of this progress. Rather than using goals to control, goal setting uses them to motivate people. Goal setting makes objectives operational by devising a process by which they cascade down through the organization. The organization's overall goals are translated into specific goals for each succeeding level in the organization. Because lower unit managers jointly participate in setting their own goals, goal setting works from the bottom up as well as from the top down. The result is a hierarchy that links goals at one level to those at the next level. That's not how organizational members did things in the past. How were goals set in the years past? The traditional role of goals in organizations was one of control imposed by top management. The president of a manufacturing firm would typically tell the production vice president what he expected manufacturing costs to be for the coming year. The president would tell the marketing vice president what level she should expect sales to reach for the coming year. The plant manager would tell her maintenance supervisor how much his departmental budget should be. Then at some later point, performance would be evaluated to determine whether the assigned goals had been achieved. The central theme in traditional goal setting was that goals were set at the top and then were broken down into sub-goals for each level in the organization. It was a one-way process. The top imposed its standards on everyone below. This traditional perspective assumed that the top management knew what was best because it only could see the big picture. In addition to being imposed from above, traditional goal setting was often largely non-operational. If top management defined the organization's goals in board meetings, such as achieving sufficient profits or market leadership, these ambiguities had to be turned into specifics as the goals filtered down to the organization. At each level, managers would supply their own meaning to the goals. Y'all know what I was like.
Yeah, I can't do it either. I try too tight down. So
Specificity
yeah, I can't say it. Just
was
specific.
achieved by
Yeah.
was achieved by each manager applying his or her own set of interpretations and biases. As shown in Exhibit 3.8, the result was that goals lost clarity and unity as they made their way down from the top.
Okay, and it seems like we are still losing. We have the SMART goals implemented. We are meeting the deadlines, but we are still losing clarity and unity. And again, if we ensure we fail or pass or do what we are to do, the next level ensure, and you have 5 levels of non-achievers or people just pretending that they did and then nobody checking. And so again, HR is supposed to do an assurance check. Are we having those assurance checks done, or HR to know that I just need to check the box and get this done and say that it was done?
I don't know if HR don't really come to you. You'd have to go to them. And I don't know if a lot of people utilizes HR.
Okay, so if HR said, I'm gonna do a surprise check on y'all performance reviews right after you confirm that they are completed.
Mhm.
Would you be afraid?
No, I wouldn't be afraid.
No. Okay. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, continue reading. What is the key to making goal setting effective? And I'll make a comment about entrepreneurship, and then that'll be it for 3. We'll take questions and feedback, please. So please be attentive so you can get asked some questions and give us some feedback. Okay, go ahead, Lani.
What is the key to making goal setting effective? There are 4 ingredients common to goal setting programs. Goal specific.
Yeah, don't worry about that word. Yeah.
Participation, time limits, and performance feedback. Let's look at each of these. Goal specificity. Goals should be specific statements of expected accomplishments. It's not adequate, for example, merely to state a desire to cut costs, improve service, or increase quality. Such desires have to be converted into tangible goals that can be measured and evaluated. To cut departmental costs by 7%, to improve service by ensuring that all telephone orders are processed within 24 hours of receipt, or to increase quality by keeping returns to less than 1% of sales are examples of specific goals. Participation. In goal setting, the goals are not unilaterally, I think, set by the boss and assigned to employees, as was characteristics of traditional goal setting. Instead, goal setting replaces these imposed goals with jointly determined goals. Together, the supervisor and the employee choose the goals and agree on how they will be achieved and evaluated. See the title section, Goal Setting, in the chapter. Time limits. Each goal has a concise time period in which it is to be completed. Typically, the time period is 3 months, 6 months, or a year. So everyone has not only specific goals, but also a specific time period in which to accomplish them. And then performance feedback. The final ingredient in a goal setting program is feedback on performance. Goal setting seeks to give continuous feedback on progress towards goals. Ideally, this is accomplished by providing ongoing feedback to individuals so that they can monitor and correct their own actions. This is supplemented by periodic formal appraisal meetings in which supervisors and employees can review progress towards goals and further feedback can be provided.
Okay, very good. And entrepreneurship, the process of initiating a business venture, organizing the necessary resources, and assuming the risk and rewards. And I always tell all of my classes, a 9 to 5 has never made anybody rich. One job is only for bills. If you want your children to go to private school, if you want to go on vacation, if you want a nice car, you need a second form of income. I always recommend 5 revenue streams. And so you don't have to say, but what else I could do in banking? Because if you could bake cakes, you bake cake. If you wash cars, open a car wash. If you could cut hair or get a barber shop or a beauty salon and rent out boots. There's all sorts of things out there. So like I say, the 5 people that you hang out with on the weekends, 3 weekends to party, 1 weekend to brainstorm and network and come together and try and find out how to make some money.
I have a side business too, so.
Okay, excellent.
Entrepreneuring is hard.
It is hard, but does it keep you afloat? Does your side business keep you afloat?
That's, well, seeing as how, Robert then called us out and said we don't make no money, I had to do something else on the side, so I have a social media business. So I post for small business owners.
Okay, excellent. And there's a grant out, I think, underneath the Farmers Development Bank for Creatives.
Yes,
They
I
gave,
saw that.
okay, good, because they give all the creatives a free
A free,
Apple laptop the other day as well.
but they were saying they had to be doing it for a certain amount of time. I only been doing it a year.
Okay, well, the opportunity should come around soon again. So just
Yeah.
look out for it. Okay, very good. And there are a lot of opportunities under the Small Business Development Center. Okay, so look into that as well. Okay, Robert, give us some feedback on chapter 3 on goal setting. What is your takeaway? Sydney ain't talking to me tonight.
I hear Ms. Bullet listening.
Oh, okay. Well, you give us your feedback on chapter 12 after Candice goes through it. So Robert, tell us about chapter 3, please. Or Robert left the building. Okay, Sydney. If Robert can do 12, you do 3. What was your takeaway?
Basically, it's different types of goals to set, and what makes it effective and the way you set your goal, whether it be something that's time sensitive, giving yourself a time frame, also doing spot checks to make sure that you're in line with where you want to be with your goal. Also, just making sure you hold persons accountable.
Okay, okay. Very, very good. Thank you, Sydney. And what I want to say about supervisors is please, 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 please do not let an entire year go by before you tell somebody that they are failing. Okay, there should be no surprises in December. There should be nobody thinking that they met and they did not. Okay, so if you're not doing the quarterly meetings, or you have to give some feedback, and you have to find a solution midway, because that's what you were for, to find a solution. So at June, the latest, you say, I'm sorry, Lanique, you're off target. What can I do to assist you? Perhaps if you need some more time, I will schedule you, or do you need some more training, or find out what the issue is. One person, our top performer, our top salesperson, was going through a divorce. Okay, and we worked all the way at Life for Key, and because she was going through a divorce, her husband decided that I'm not going to pick the children up from school. And so she was too embarrassed to tell anybody about her divorce, and she didn't need to because it was nobody's business. But she had gone to her supervisor and asked if she could take a lunch hour at 3 p.m. The supervisor just said no. Okay, and that was the end of the story. And she, she was already shattered over going through a divorce. And so when the results, the monthly results came out, I started looking at these reports. Her sales was dropping. I pulled her aside. I said, what's going on? It was our top performer. What happening? And she just said that I'm having some difficulties at home. I don't wish to discuss my business in the office, but I asked for my lunch hour at 3 p.m. because my the people who used to pick up my children, I said, say no more. And I went to HR and we arranged for her to pick her children up and allow them to sit in the staff break room until it was time to leave, until she could get herself sorted. Okay, and that took 1 year. However, what is 1 year compared to 20 years of dedicated service being the top performer? Okay, so people will have issues, life happens. It's some things, a divorce, may shatter you. Okay, you don't need to know these people's business, but if you can extend them a courtesy, please just be kind. Okay, because you don't know what people are going through, and nobody has to tell you what they're going through. Extend them the same courtesy that you would want if it was you. Okay, people who lose loved ones, they take a little longer to recover. Okay, you can't say, oh, that was only her sister. Why she ain't over that yet? You don't know the relationship. Okay, always be kind and compassionate, because you never know when it'll be you. Okay. Okay, very good. Candace, thank you, Lanique. Excellent job.
Welcome.
Okay, is Candace there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, good. So did you have the opportunity to read chapter 12?
Only when we was reading it together, or was that chapter 3 I came in on?
Yeah, you came in on chapter 3, yeah.
Ew.
No, you didn't read
No,
it?
ma'am,
Okay.
I didn't get to read it yet. I was reading chapter 3 as she was reading it.
Okay, so really, chapter 3 talks about these goals that you set. And of course, at the end of the year, we have to complete a performance appraisal to find out if we actually achieve these goals or not. And, you know, Miss Bullet was just like a lot of you know, overwork, underpaid. You nobody get time for this, you know? And so later on, as I matured in my career, then I saw, you know, the need, and I became a deadline beater and a goal achiever. And I saw that my money, Christmas bonus, was tied to these goals. So, you know, I broke my back trying to get, you know, achieve these goals every year. So it's whatever motivates you, but please do not write baseless statements that don't make no sense, that you know it ain't achievable. And like I say, please don't let your staff be told at year end they did not achieve, and that's the end of the story. Okay, so we'll just pick out the important parts. So on, let me get your copy of the book. 1 second, I will tell you. You can start on the first page of the purpose of employee performance appraisals. Candace?
Okay, wait, which page is
Chapter
that?
12.
324 is the page.
Yeah, I just found it. Thank you.
Yeah.
You want me to read the purpose of employee performance appraisals?
Yes, please.
Okay. 35 years ago, the typical supervisor would sit down annually with their employees individually and critique their job performance. Employees who failed to achieve their goals found that performance appraisals resulted in little more than their supervisor documenting a list of their shortcomings. Because the performance appraisal is a key determinant in pay adjustments and promotion decisions, and anything to do with appraising job performance struck fear into the hearts of employees. Not surprisingly, supervisors often wanted to avoid the whole appraisal process. Today, effective supervisors treat the performance appraisal as an evaluation and development tool, as well as a formal legal document. It emphasizes positive accomplishments as well as deficiencies. Supervisors also use the performance appraisal to help employees improve future performance. If deficiencies are found, the supervisor can help employees draft a detailed plan to correct the situation. By emphasizing the future as well as the past, employees are less likely to respond defensively to performance feedback, and the appraisal process is more likely to motivate employees to correct their performance deficiencies. Finally, remember from chapter 5, the issue of employee discrimination. Taking action against an employee for poor performance can create a problem if the problem is not well documented. The performance evaluation serves a vital purpose in providing the documentation necessary for any personal action that is taken. When should
So, sorry, I just wanted to interject and talk
Okay.
about this very diverse world. And we, again, will talk about it when we get to chapter 5. Remember, everybody doesn't look like us. right? And for a very long time, there's a lot of diversity in terms of gender. Okay. And I saw about 2 weeks ago, there were females that hadn't, like, they appeared to be butch, right? And so they were asked to leave the school. Now, government schools are not allowed to, discriminate. And I think this is Doris Johnson School, and I really wanted to follow up on that to find out if indeed they were allowed to come back to school and if they had to change their appearance. Now, again, of course, like I said, in Royal Bank, we were very diverse. We even had a coming out day for the LGBTQ, if they wanted to come out or reveal themselves, on a particular day. And we now live in a era where, like I say, males can show up with the eyelashes and the extremely tight pants. And, we had a few that were very flamboyant, but they were excellent workers. However, we had a pastor's wife, a first lady of the church. And so, to me, what happened was that they were pulled in once or twice and told about how flamboyant they were. And one guy's response was, "I'm just being me. I'm just, he wore an all pink, very tight outfit with a lady's belt and lipstick and stuff like that." And so I don't know if that supervisor had an issue, but what I saw happening is every time they wanted to get rid of the males that appeared to be flamboyant, they sent them down to this first lady's branch. And you know what I talking about, within 2 weeks, they was fired for some foolishness, and really for many years, I felt that she should have been fired. Because if we looked at their performance appraisals, they met their targets, they brought in the numbers, and you cannot, just how they shouldn't subject their femininity on you, you can't subject your Christianity on them, right? They should not have lost their job for it, right? And you have to ensure that, I don't like this particular nationality, because we don't even know, all nationalities are embedded in the Bahamas. You don't know who is who, and it really does not matter. Okay, so please leave all of these "I don't like" you represent Commonwealth Bank, the Royal Bank of Canada, Scotiabank Bahamas, Fidelity, and they say no discrimination. They say diversity. They say we having a coming out day. I would suggest that you resign if you have a problem with that, before you go and make somebody feel uncomfortable or feel unwanted or feel like they don't belong, and definitely then fire them. That was completely wrong. Completely wrong. Okay, so this of course was back in 2007-ish, and I would think that we are more trained on diversity and how to deal with people. And again, it doesn't matter if Ms. Bullitt feels it's right or wrong, or my views. When I walk into Royal Bank, I represent the Royal Bank of Canada. The Royal Bank of Canada says it's what they accept. You have a choice to leave, okay? Or go somewhere else. So please just remember that. Be careful of the eyes, the body language, the snickering. Chapter 5 will also talk about harassment. And so just be cognizant and aware, okay? Can you go over to what is your role in the performance appraisal, 325, Candace?
Okay. The larger your organization, the more likely it is that there will be standardized appraisal forms and formal procedures for you to follow. Even small companies tend to standardize some appraisal procedures to ensure that equal employment opportunity requirements are met. Will you be the sole appraiser? Most employee performance appraisals are conducted by supervisors. However, in recent years, some organizations have added self-evaluations and peer evaluations to supplement those made by supervisors. Employees themselves often have valuable insights to provide. So too do their peers. Self-evaluations get high marks from employees themselves. They tend to lessen employees' defensiveness about the appraisal process, and they make excellent vehicles for stimulating the job performance discussions. Self-evaluations tend to suffer from inflated assessments, so they should be used to enhance your evaluation rather than to replace it. The use of self-evaluations, however, is fully consistent with viewing performance appraisal as a developmental tool rather than for purely evaluation purposes. There are some elements of an employee's job that peers are better at judging than you are as a supervisor. In some jobs, you don't regularly observe an employee's work because your span of control is quite large or because of physical separation. When work is built largely around teams, team members are often better at evaluating each other because they have a more comprehensive view of each member's job performance. In such instances, supplementing your appraisal with peer evaluations can increase the accuracy of the appraisal process. What forms of documentation does the organization provide? Usually, organizations require supervisors to use a standardized form to guide them in doing performance appraisals. In some cases, top management or the human resource department provides an abbreviated form and allows considerable freedom in identifying and assessing job performance factors. At the other extreme, organizations provide detailed forms and instructions that all supervisors must follow. Our point is that you really have complete discretion in evaluating your employees. Begin by reviewing any standard forms that your organization uses for appraisals. Familiarize yourself with the information you'll be expected to provide and make sure all of the people reporting to you, especially new employees, understand how and on what criteria they will be evaluated.
Okay,
How
and
do you
so
set-
are we
Okay.
having these conversations on how to win, how to get exceeds, or are we just meeting? Are we motivating, or are we just going through the motion? What about you, Sydney? It seems like y'all have a better structure in place. Are you getting that motivation to win?
Pardon me, I didn't know.
No, I said, are you getting that motivation and that encouragement to win at the end of the year? Do you understand how the form works and how, what the outcomes mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I mean, it's be a good thing to look forward to in Christmas, you see.
Right. And so the higher, the more achievement, the more money you get, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So you really want to understand how to get the most. Right. Okay, good. So make sure you understand, and supervisors, make sure you are explaining this is how you win. Okay, good. Because again, if all of your staff on your team are just meeting, there's no way that you are exceeding. If they in meeting, if you have 5 staff members and 3 got not met, best believe you as the supervisor, remember, if they fail, you fail. Okay, so please start to have that. This is how you win conversation. Okay, continue, Candace.
How do you set performance expectations? As a supervisor, you should be involved in determining performance standards for your employees. This relates to the discussion of goal setting in Chapter 3. Ideally, you and each employee should jointly review the employee's job, identify the processes and results needed, and then determine performance standards that will define how well the results are accomplished. Remember, before an employee's performance can be appraised, some standard must exist against which the appraisal can be made. You must ensure that performance expectations have been defined for every employee and that employees fully understand these expectations. Continue. What is performance feedback?
Mm-hmm.
Employees can receive performance feedback in one of two forms. It can be provided intrinsically intrinsically by the work itself, or it can be extrinsically by a supervisor or some other external source. In some jobs, the feedback is built into the job. For example, freight clerks in a shipping department at a trucking company can keep an ongoing tally of the number of boxes they pack and the weight of each. At the end of the day, they total the numbers and compare them to daily goals. These calculations provide them with self-generated of intrinsic feedback on how they did that day. Extrinsic feedback is provided to an employee by an outside source. If the freight clerk's shipping totals are calculated each day by the supervisor and posted on the department's bulletin board, their performance feedback is also intrinsic.
Okay, you can stop there, and I want you to go on to potential problems in performance appraisals on 334.
Okay. Although you and your employer may seek to make the performance appraisal process free from personal biases, prejudices, okay, and idiosyncrasies, wow. A number of potential problems can creep into the process to the degree that the following factors are prevalent and employees' performance appraisals is likely to be distorted. What is leniency error? Every appraiser has their own value system that acts as a standard against which appraisals are made. Relative to the true or actual performance an individual exhibits, some appraisers mark high and others low. The former is referred to as positive leniency error and the latter as negative leniency error. When appraisers are positively lenient in their evaluations, an employee's performance becomes overstated, that is, rated higher than it actually should be. Similarly, a negative lenience error understates performance given the individual a lower appraisal than deserved. If all employees in an organization were appraised by the same person, there would be no problem. Although there would be an error factor, it would be applied equally to everyone. The difficulty arises when we have different raters with different leniency errors making judgments. For example, assume that Jean and Stephen are performing the same job for different supervisors, but they have absolutely identical job performance. If Jean's supervisor tends to err toward positive leniency, whereas Stephen's supervisor errs towards negative leniency, we might be confronted with two dramatically different performance appraisals. How do halo errors affect appraisals?
Okay, so stop right there, Candace.
Okay.
So are we familiar with these errors? Do we agree that if it's a positive person, they sometimes overstate, and if they're a negative person, they understate? Have we had that experience?
I've never had that experience, but I agree that it could happen.
Okay, good. And then there's a halo error, a tendency to rate an individual high or low on all factors as a result of an impression of a high or low rating on some specific factor. So Ms. Bullet will go on my project and she fixed something that been deficient for the last 10 years. She's come to work late every day. She's come back late from her lunch hour. But she do this project, so she getting exceeds performance. Okay, similarity error, rating others in a way that gives special consideration to qualities that appraisers perceive in themselves. Every time I need somebody to read, Candace is raise her hand. Okay, so Candace is the one, right? Recency error, an error that occurs when appraisers recall and give greater importance to the employee job behavior that have occurred near to the end of the performance measuring period. Now this October, so Sydney on his best behavior. He doing everything right. He saying yes to everything. He working overtime, you don't gotta pay it, right? Do we experience any of this? The halo, the similarity, the recency, or the leniency? Lanique, you writing appraisals.
Yes.
Have you ever had these feelings?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay, so make sure.
Okay, question, which page is this on for me?
Which page is this on for you? 1 second, I tell you right now.
I know you guys on page 34, right?
No, that was on 336. You are on 305, Robert.
305. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah,
gone far then.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so
All right.
they are the errors, and you want to ensure that, you know, you have documentation throughout the year. So when Robert does have those quality meetings, documentation is there, because you will not remember what happened in March, then in June, then in September. Okay, so March, you make some comments. June, you make some comments. September, you make some comments, and you bring all those comments together at December. Okay, and so that will assist. Be only human, but that will assist you in not making some of these errors. Okay, we want to go to page 339, Candace, responding to performance problems.
Whenever one of your employees exhibits work behaviors that are inconsistent with the work environment, example, fighting, stealing, or unexcused absences, or is unable to perform their job satisfactorily, you must intervene. But before any intervention can begin, it is imperative for you to identify the problem. If you realize that the performance problem is ability related, your emphasis becomes one of encouraging training and development efforts. However, when the performance problem is desire related, whether the unwillingness to correct the problem is voluntary or involuntary, employee counseling is the next logical approach.
Continue. Big, this is the essay question, probably on your midterm, so make sure you get these points. We don't want fluff, we want points.
Newsflash. Sorry, I read in the newsflash?
No, go turn over the page. What do employees need to know about counseling?
Okay. Although employee counseling processes differ, some fundamental steps should be followed when counseling an employee. Listen to what the employee has to say. You can't effectively counsel others unless you listen to what they have to say. Your action should be tailored to the needs, demands, and personality of your employee. These factors can be accurately assessed without active listening. When you sit down with your employee, demonstrate your willingness and desire to be helpful. Then listen to what they have to say. Also listen to what is not being said. How is the employee framing the problem? What does the employee think? Who does the employee think is to blame? Are their emotions driving out rational thinking? Don't make judgments so quickly. Try to grasp the employee's perception of the situation without agreeing or disagreeing with that perception. At this point, it's not so important to determine whether the employee is right or wrong, as it is to try to fully understand the problem from their point of view. Identify the problem. After you've listened to your employee's initial assessment of the situation, begin to search to identify the problem and its causes. What does the employee think is the problem? Who or what is the cause? How is the problem affecting the employee? What, if any, responsibility is your employee taking for the problem? You must remember, though you're attacking some behavior, not the employee. Clarify alternatives. Problems come with options. In most cases, a number of alternatives can correct the problem. These need to be explored and clarified. This is a point at which a participative approach can be particularly valuable because you may see and know things that escape the employee's perception. As a result, merging your insights and the employees can result in a greater number of quality options. Once alternatives are identified, they need to be evaluated. What are the strengths and weaknesses of each? Again, two heads are better than one. Your goal should be to have the employee weigh the pluses and minuses of each course of action. Come to a resolution. What's the best option for the employee? Remember, the best option for one employee is not necessarily the best option for another. The solution should reflect the unique characteristics of the employee. Ideally, both you and the employee will agree on the solution. You want to be sure the employee buys into the final choice, whether that final choice was made by you, by the employee, or jointly. A terrific solution that's not accepted by the employee is unlikely to result in any meaningful change. Agree on an action plan. Finally, the employee needs to develop a concrete plan of action for implementing the solution. What specifically is the employee going to do? When will they do it? What resources, if any, will be needed? It's usually a good idea to end the counseling session with the employee summarizing what has taken place and the specific action they plan on taking. Establish a follow-up point at some specific date in the future for reassessing the employee's progress. If a formal meeting isn't needed, request a short memo from the employee updating you on their progress. This can be effective as a reminder to the employee that progress is expected and as a control device for you to assess the employee's progress.
Continue.
Is your action ethical? What business do you have delving into employees' personal life? That's a valid question and requires us to look at the ethics of counseling. Employees bring a multitude of problems and frustration from their personal lives to their job. They have difficulty finding quality daycare for infants. A teenage child is expelled from high school. They have fights with their spouses. A family member suffers a nervous breakdown. They get behind in their bills and they're harassed by creditors. A close friend is seriously hurt in an automobile accident. A parent is diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. It may seem wise to keep your nose out of the employee's personal lives, but that is often unreasonable. Why? Because there is no clear demarcation that separates personal and work lives. Consider the following scenario involving one of your employees, Denise. Denise's son was arrested last night for possession of drugs. She spent most of the night with police and lawyers. Today at work, she is tired and psychologically distant. She has trouble concentrating. Her mind is not on a job. It's naive to believe that employees can somehow leave their personal problems at the door when they come to work each morning. Do employees have a right to privacy? Absolutely. However, when personal problems interfere with work performance, you should not consider it beyond your jurisdiction to inquire about the problem. Offer yourself as an open air or genuinely seek to help with the problem. If your offer is rejected, don't push. If the employee understands how their personal problem is affecting work performance and you make clear what the consequences will be if the work performance doesn't improve, you've reached the ethical limit of your involvement. If the employee is protective of their personal life, your rights as a supervisor don't extend to helping solve their personal problems. However, you do have the right and the obligation to make sure employees understand that if personal problems interfere with their work, they need to solve their personal problems and you're there to help if asked.
Okay, excellent, Candice. Thank you so much for that. Robert, are you there? Robert. Robert ain't answering me again. Robert, you in this class? Okay, Beneath, give us some feedback, please.
You want feedback on what she just read?
Yeah, what you just read, or the chapter, or what was your takeaway?
My takeaway for this chapter, I feel like I kind of got a better understanding of how the performance appraisal works. For me, as she was reading, I kind of put it in perspective for me.
Okay,
So,
do you do appraisals?
I don't do appraisals. I don't do appraisals. I'm not a supervisor.
Okay.
But the way that our appraisals work is, I know we read in here where it was talking about how in some performance appraisals, they either let the employee do a self-assessment or the other options that they listed. At my company, we do a self-assessment. So as for our performance appraisal, there are different parts of it, different stuff that we have to rate ourselves on. And then the second half of the appraisal, our supervisor would rate us. So side by side would be what we rate ourselves, what our supervisor rate us. And then finally it would go to the manager. Manager would put in their comments and everything like that. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this chapter a lot.
Okay, okay. And I hope that you would
And yeah,
go
too.
look at your goals, see where
Hopefully
you
you can
are, and ensure that you, if you're not on track, you get on track for December. Okay.
And that's another thing too. Another thing too is that the way that our goals is set up, our goals is we determine our performance appraisal. Sorry. So like for me,
And check in my draw log.
processor. So being a data processor, my goals have to do with my desk. Accuracy in posting, maintaining setups and stuff like that. That's something, they are goals that I do daily. So
Okay.
it's not hard to maintain. However, because I could say basically for this whole year, I've been on my desk. So you doing a performance appraisal for me for as a data processor when I've been sitting on the verification officer desk for most of the year. How then is that performance appraisal going to look?
Right. And so again, these are questions that need to be asked. You know what I mean? And before you start a new position, you know, make sure you get the job description and go over it and just ask, will I be assessed on this?
Well, I
Okay.
did ask, and I was told that I would be it would be prorated based
Okay.
on the time that I was there, which is like minimal.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't know if you'll see how
Okay,
it
look
goes.
into your policy, see what your policy says. Because a lot of
Okay.
times, let me tell
Can
you
you guys
something.
hear me?
Yes, Robert.
Okay, awesome.
A lot of times, you know, the supervisor just don't have time to read, and it's sitting right up there in policy, which you should get. You know, so
Yeah.
sometimes you go do the research and just, you know, share it with them and say, well, the policy states this, is this correct, or did it change? You know,
Yes, ma'am.
something like that. Yeah. Okay. So you guys who are supervisors, please you know, read over those errors, make sure you don't make any of those errors. We already talked about the sandwich approach. When you speak to people, the same thing with appraisals, the sandwich approach. You start off very good, tell them how well they have done and how proud you are of them. You put the bad stuff in the middle, but again, nothing that need to put out a fire. Like somebody always you know, said, imagine you are husband and wife, and your husband writes you a letter. I love you, you're a great mother to the kids, and we have a happy home, but I want a divorce. But you are still great and whatever, I wish you all the best. The only thing that will stand out to that wife or the mother is that I want a divorce. So forget about the sandwich, right? So make sure there's nothing in the middle that you have to extinguish, you know. So try to be as diplomatic as possible, and yeah, be kind. Be kind. I told you all the story about the lady who was going through a divorce. And again, you know, we counseled her, but it was a touchy situation, and she did not want to tell her supervisor that she was going through a divorce, and she had every right, you know, not to want to tell anybody. So please, like I say, always be compassionate and kind. Okay, guys. So for those who came in late, at the beginning, I said that I was very disappointed in the persons that missed the opportunity to get 100%. That homework was designed to boost up your midterm grade, and the next homework is also there to boost up your final grade. So please don't miss these opportunities to get 100%. It was open book, it was multiple choice, you know, and Miss Bullet does not accept late homework. Okay, so
So
that's
question, what
one
you
missed
call
grade.
late homework?
But it was due last night.
Oh, it was due last night.
But the email says homework due Tuesday, October the 4th.
Miss Bullet, you got mine?
Yes, I got yours, Sydney.
Okay, all right.
So how I submitted
Miss
mine this
Fuller, does
evening?
that mean I
How I
don't get a
submitted
grade?
mine this evening?
Sorry,
Is that
all of y'all
issue?
can't talk at the same time. Sorry, Robert, go ahead. I didn't hear you.
How mine was submitted this evening, is that an issue? That so it wouldn't
Yeah,
be graded
you
at
missed
all?
it. You missed the deadline. They have already got the homework went this morning to be marked.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's actually depressing right now.
Yeah, but just like I say,
Yeah.
the easiest 100% you could get.
Yeah.
Wow, so
I-
that
I'm-
means we don't get a grade for that.
No, you would have a grade missing. Not a
But-
good way to start.
But I thought you said
Supervisors.
that's a boost towards our midterm grading.
Yes, because a lot of people, okay, you could retake the midterm or the final. This final is 60%, the midterm is only 20. So nobody retakes the midterm. So we put those homeworks in there, which are open book to boost up your grade in case you don't do so well the first time. But I am surprised that people missed that opportunity. I'm very surprised.
I am surprised too. I didn't internally look at that email. I didn't look at it in detail, which is something I should have done. I
Yes,
figured it would have
neither
been
did I.
done.
All I did was open it and print out the document, and I finished that homework from Sunday. That's the most disappointing part.
Yeah, I finished homework a while back too. I just figured it's supposed to be submitted today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Okay. So
Wow.
yeah,
So
sorry.
now I gotta look at
missed
these
that.
emails in depth now.
Yes, please do. And this is the schedule again. Back up on the screen. Next week is your presentation for your speech. The speech has to be to my email by 11:59 on Tuesday.
Okay,
You have
so
to
it sounds
be-
like homework is Tuesday before class.
Yes,
Every
it's always
Sunday.
the day before.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So listen carefully now. Next week, you have to turn on your cameras and present. There will be one person to critique your speech and one person to give feedback on your speech. Okay? So again, all of this is just a learning process. So don't take anything personally, and we want to be as compassionately honest as possible.
But once they use the sandwich method, we shouldn't take it personal.
Which, yeah, there you go. Use the sandwich approach. Very good, Robert. Very good. Okay, so y'all please check with Miguel if you have issues with your mic and issue with your camera. Because if you do not participate in the speech, or if you miss it without prior approval, you get an incomplete. As well for the mentoring presentation that's on November 30th. You cannot pass the class without completing those two. Okay, so please prepare yourself. And then week 7, which is October 26th, is the midterm. So we've already covered 4 chapters and we're going to do 8 and 9. So you'll have 6 chapters in total for the midterm. Please, pay attention. That midterm, you are going to go in to the Institute and sit with Ms. Dean and take that midterm in person. Okay?
Is
Are we
after
clear?
work? Is after work?
Yeah, the same 6 to
Okay,
9.
okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so please, we have to practice if we have issues or emergencies. I mean,
Miss
you can't
Fuller.
do anything with emergency, but you have to be proactive and send a note and advise if you have an issue with the date.
Miss Bullard,
Yes?
for the midterm, would I have to come over for that, or would I still do it on Zoom?
Who this is speaking? Sorry.
Candace.
Candace? Oh, no, Candace. You are we have an invigilator is the Commonwealth Bank still around over there?
Commonwealth Bank?
Yeah, there's no Commonwealth Bank there?
Yeah, we have a Commonwealth Bank.
Okay, so we have an invigilator. That's I think it's the manager of the Commonwealth Bank. So he will arrange an office and you will go in there and take the exam. So I'll just let Miss Dean know to arrange that for you now.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
And then also I have one one serious question. This question is very important.
Okay.
How much percentage of our overall grade was that one particular homework? Because I assume each grade counts as a percentage to your overall term grade, final grade.
Well, it makes up your two homeworks and your midterm grade are combined and
For 20.
divided by 3, and then you get the average. So that's 20%. And right now, you would have probably 5% if you got 100%.
So
now
basically,
you
I
have
lose
0.
5%.
Yeah, basically.
I only can make up 15% now
Right.
from a homework minus the midterm and an additional homework.
Yes.
So the midterm only count as 5 points then.
No, 10.
Oh, 10, 5, and 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next homework, and if I get 100%, I had 15. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you say
Depending on your
60%.
midterm grade, now you may not get the full 10.
I
You only
look
get
at the
100 on your
full-
midterm. So you
I
might
look
only
at the
get,
full 100 because I got
you
to
get
make
the
up.
full 100 on the midterm.
I can look at 95, but I
Go
can
ahead,
look at
Robert.
100 to get
I
95.
support you 100%. Anyway, I can help you to win. You let me know. You let me know.
I mean,
I like that.
it's just an eye opener. 5% is a lot compared to 100. That's actually a lot.
Listen, 5% is the difference between 60 and 65.
Exactly.
5% is the
that's
difference
huge.
between 85 and 90, a A and a B. So people take
So
5% for granted.
What's the other 20%? Because I know you said 20 is the midterm
One
plus
second.
homework, and then 60 is the final. So what's the other 20?
1 second, I can pull it up for you right now. Let's look at it. Robert, you get my opening letter? No way.
I got it, but right now, like after here, when I lose 5
You under
points,
pressure.
everything just-
Okay, you under
everything
pressure.
just-
I understand.
Yeah,
You can see
I
the
forget.
screen? No? Okay.
No.
Try it now.
Okay, yeah, I can see the screen now.
Yeah, right there on this agenda, right here, all your information right there. So sometimes you have to refer back to it. You see the grades, and then, so you need a 65% to pass the class.
So 10% is participation, 10% is project. Project would include what, the presentation and so forth?
Yes.
Okay, so I 10, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
then.
remember now, you see where it's a class presentation is required for this course. You will receive an incomplete grade for the course if presentation is not completed. It's right there.
Okay. My biggest issue is that 5%. You can't do another homework.
That's you will be fine. Make sure you
my.
get this 95 on the midterm, and you will be fine.
5%.
I believe you
Everyone
can
else
do
gotta
it.
tell me they ain't get that 5% for me to feel better. I can't take this.
Yeah,
5%.
Couple of y'all ain't do it. I was shocked. I was like, okay, I don't know what happened in here. This is the easiest
Miss
grade to
Bullet,
get.
hold on now. You get mine?
Candace, I don't know. Let me see.
5%?
Miss Bullet,
No, it's
not
5%.
today.
Miss Bullet, majority rule, yeah. If majority of the class hasn't turned that in, you should give some leeway to give us at least
No.
2.5%.
My
At least
email.
2.5.
Let me.
At least 2.5.
Hold on 1 second, sir. 1 second.
Majority rule. That's how I look at it.
You really? Okay.
I with you.
Who you voting for, F&M or the PLP?
I voted for at least 2.5%. You can't beat that. I ain't even saying 5%. At least 2.5 for late
2.5.
submission. At least half.
1 second. I trying to see.
I
Well,
can't
I
understand
can
that.
show you
I
all
gotta
this.
fight for this.
Okay. Okay. Let me share my screen.
Because if only 3 persons submit, I don't
You see this? Supervisory skills homework due Tuesday, October the 4th.
I
And then the
understand
subject, when
I
you open it,
understand that.
homework, Robert, you are a supervisor now. You have to set the example for the rest of your team.
You
Okay?
set an example on the whole class, though. You weren't setting it on me. You set it on.
I sent it. I said it. We talked about it. It's on the agenda.
If I give,
I don't know what
if
else
I
to
was
say.
supervising and I give my if I give the persons I'm supervising an assignment, and out of everyone, one person would have completed the
No,
assignment.
no,
maybe
no, I
two,
never said
I will
one.
give it an extension.
I never said one person. I never said one person. And it's here, right
Majority
here,
rule.
big 3 homework. I
Majority
never said
rule.
one person. I said I only received it from half of the class. I said half.
Oh, half. Okay,
Yeah, but
okay.
Miss
Yes,
Fuller,
half.
that's because we say Wednesday. It isn't as if we didn't do it or submit it. It's just that we didn't realize it was supposed to be handed it on Tuesday.
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
I opened that email, but all I did was print. All I did, because from you announced it last class, I had it open whilst we were in the class. So all I did was print out the document. I didn't even read the, like, I would have probably looked at the subject line and still not pay attention to it, because even though it's
Yeah.
a Tuesday, I'm still thinking, oh, class is Wednesday.
Yeah, when I see that
But
email,
Clinton, you won't
I
even
go
said
wait
it
on.
today.
I said I go wait
You-
on that email. I'll wait on
thought
that
it was
email
today,
they
but
send
you won't
me
bring
every
it?
day and send it to that email. I said I send it
Clinton,
to the email.
where it is, Clinton?
Yes, I forwarded it to you. I forwarded it.
When?
I send it to the email.
When we get in the class, 'cause I thought I was supposed to submit it like this evening. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
I forwarded it because I had it in my email from the early today. Like I said, I did it from Sunday.
let me
but
think,
Yeah.
because like I said, they all went to the marker already. I could only, I'll keep them in my email. And if you need that to pass the class, then I'll consider it then.
Okay, you sound the hamburger method.
That's all I can
like
do. 'Cause
you.
I can't.
Okay,
The burger method. I
I
like
think
that.
I can live with that then.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
live
If
with
you
that.
need that, I will just mark that and make sure you pass. If it
But,
can help you, if it can't help you, then no.
But
Okay.
I actually would have sent that when you send, every before class, maybe an hour before class, you send an email.
Yeah, that's
I
Miguel.
forwarded right
send
to that
that.
email. I say, well, I that was ever my plan to wait until the email comes, because that would be the most easiest way to send it. So that's when I
Okay.
sent it.
So what did we learn from this? We'll read, we'll check the
Tuesday
date,
we
we will
before
listen. I
6.
said it in class. I said it in class and I sent it in the email. Okay, that means if we miss something, we listen to the recording, because many times Robert, I call you, but you don't respond. So
understand.
make sure,
I
I don't know.
understand.
So please try and schedule some time to actually be in class. Okay, I know some of you have to work, and that's why I was asking if it would have been better to start at 6:30, because a lot of times we starting at 6:10 or 6:15. So I don't know if 6:30 would work better for you all. Y'all
I
let
mean,
me know.
I actually would agree with 6:30, but everyone else gotta agree. I don't want to make that decision for the class.
Would 6:30 work for anybody else?
In terms of when class starts,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, that would definitely work for me because I live very far from where I work.
Yeah, and I don't like y'all driving and signing it. I don't like that. That'll scare me. So
I
yeah,
could probably
so
try hold my breath.
and I don't want y'all to speed home either. I know traffic is bad. So we'll start at 6:30 next week. And because then, like I said, you have to turn on your camera, so you might need to refresh yourself and everything. So next week we'll start at 6:30, okay? Just to give everybody time to get in.
Okay.
Okay? Please let
Okay.
everybody know. Please, I hope everybody listening.
Submission is on Tuesday, 11:59 p.m.
Yes. Please
Presentation
send your
is
speech.
Wednesday.
Please don't miss that date. Don't go
God sake.
holiday in and miss next week.
God
Okay?
sake. You missed that cheapest you try apply to retake this
Yeah.
course.
But you get 20% off if it's late. That's the first thing. And then if you don't get it on Wednesday, then it's not graded. So you'd have to get another opportunity to present, and that'll be in another class.
And I really wish that applied for the homework as well, but I'll live with that also.
You want another homework in another class? You know when the next class could be? With next year, October? You don't want that.
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
We are supervisors. We lead by example. We have to practice to discipline ourselves. Our staff is watching us. So we have to meet our deadlines. We have to hold, our schedules and try and always be on time and set a good example for our staff. And if we are not on time, and because life happens, Candace is very diligent. She sent an email. Excuse me, Miss Bullet, I won't be in class. I'll be late today. She knew that she had to read. She didn't just leave me wondering, hoping if Candace could come for
Yeah,
an hour, right?
that's
So,
actually being, that's a
sorry?
supervisory skill. I said that's
Yes.
actually a supervisory skill, yeah.
Yes. So Candace, excellent, very good. Okay, because things happen beyond your control, but it's just how you communicate it. Okay, and that makes a whole lot of difference. Okay, guys. So you'll have a wonderful evening, and we'll pick up chapter 8. Hopefully we'll get to chapter 8. If not, we will do it the week after. But I'm looking forward to the presentations next week. Okay. So you'll have a good evening. Any other questions or concerns?
I have a question.
Yes.
It says, Vanique, my topic for the essay is knowledge.
Okay.
I
Are you
confirm it.
asking me?
Yes, ma'am.
1 second.
I think it's knowledge. I think that's what I picked. Knowledge.
Does it require a certain amount of, I guess, words? Well, yeah, I think it's what, 500 to 700 words,
Look right on the screen. Look right on the screen.
or 3 to 500. Okay, not even a lot. I thought it's 500 to 700.
Yeah.
So if I go over that, that's points off.
No, not at all. Hold on 1 second, Vanita. I'm checking the your question. So no, you don't. If you go over it, that's no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I do this a PowerPoint presentation, or I have to actually do a essay? I mean, it insinuates.
Sorry, Robert, I didn't hear you.
No, I said it said an essay, but I was asking if I did it in a PowerPoint way. Would that
If
be
you
an
do,
issue?
that's fine. If you do a PowerPoint, that's fine. Whichever is easiest for you. Okay, it's on the screen. And remember, all of these are in, and this is exactly what we talked about today about planning. This is the plan. You won't remember what it says. You have to refer back to it. So this is important. It's supposed to be to just discuss this and not write this down. What would happen today?
We would have been 20 points short.
Oh, right. So very good that we have an example of the importance of planning. Okay.
You only got to accept the example once, no, trust me.
Sorry.
I say you only have to accept the example once. After that one example, I don't got to accept. You don't got to do that no more.
You're on track. Okay, good. Very good. I'm glad that we see this as a learning opportunity. Very good. Okay, yes, Veronique, it says knowledge. And one of the questions on this that you could make, what are the benefits of the knowledge you have?
Okay.
Okay, and so that's why I said these are just, sample questions that you could develop your question, And Sydney, we have Sydney for relationships. We have Benique for knowledge. We have Lanique for high energy, good hygiene people. Well, I don't see Krista any longer. She was depth and yoke of a master. Candace was knowledge and leadership. Robert is how much money do you have? And Clinton was India and debt. Will China and India truly rule the world? And then she was gonna tell us how to get out of debt. Okay. So guys, refer back to your notes if you have questions, and I'm here, just let me know. Okay.
All right.
Yes,
okay, so you'll have a productive week and a lovely evening, and I'll see you all next week. In your best Sunday best. Put on your Sunday best and your full face with Miss Bullet, please. So I can give you 10 points off the bat. Just for looking good. Okay? All right. All right. Y'all take care. See you all next week.
Good night.
Good
All right. Good night.